What's going on, everybody? Happy Wednesday. I just wanted to do another portfolio update here. As you can see, over the, let's see here, last 3 months, so when I started this account, I funded it on May 25th, I believe. You can see I'm up $2,177, so a little over 18%. Over the last week, we've really took a good climb. We're up 11%. A lot of that is due to my Ethereum position, which I'll go ahead and get into the chart here in just a second. But overall, it's done really well. I talked about last week that I expect a pullback, and I still do. But I haven't sold anything. I'm letting everything kind of ride out. So let's go take a look at the market. So you can see here, SPY. I don't really have anything planned as far as taking any call options or trading any futures on the overall indices right now. You can still see there's some gaps down here to the downside that could potentially get filled if we start to see a significant pullback. As far as the NASDAQ, this is the cash index. I'm still thinking that somewhere between these green but little lines, that this is an area that I'd be interested in possibly buying in, or maybe buying some leap call options 3 to 6 months out if the market pulls back. But the market's been resilient. There's no need to fight the trend, no need to potentially try and call a top. I've done it before. You lose money more times than you make money. So let the market roll over, find an area where the market can come back up, retest, and then play options or futures or whatever you play that you want to bet against the market going down. Do that, but let the market tell you that it's going to go down first before starting to jump in and trying to hope the market goes down. As far as my current positions that I'm in, so I haven't done anything different with Tesla. My average sits around 313. I just have 12 shares, so it's nothing crazy, but I am up on the position now. You can see here this nice downtrend downtrend line. I'm looking to see if we can break out of this. There's a chance that we could come test this like 355-ish to 370 almost. We clear that, then we have some real upside here. But we'll see what happens when it comes down and tests this downtrend line. Is it going to be able to break, or is it going to start to roll over and, maybe come down here towards this other downtrend line? As far as Amazon, I haven't added to the position, still the same. Not planning to. I still think it's a little overstretched. Possibly could pull back to this orange 200-day moving average. That I would definitely be a buyer there. Google, haven't touched, haven't added. AMD, haven't added anything either. Just letting these positions ride. Sometimes when the market's rolling in your favor, your positions are green, there's no need to continue to chase these positions or add further. Could the positions keep going and going and going, and I might wish that I'm adding right now? Sure. But eventually there will be some type of small pullback in these names, and that's when you can get more aggressive, you can add. But right now I just don't see any levels or any areas that I'm 100% interested or comfortable putting my money behind. So as far as my Oscar position, I did add 25 shares, and I think I talked about in the last video, somewhere around this 1470 or 1480 area. I don't remember the exact fill, but I did add them, I think, on the 11th on this big red candle here. You can see here the reason why I added. I took an anchored VWAP from the all-time low going back to December of 2022, and that's where we've essentially held support for the last, let's see here, 4 days now. 1, 2, 3, 4. We have yet to be able to break or have a daily close below this anchored VWAP. Now, we haven't been able to get back above the 200-day moving average, which can be concerning, but if we can get back above the 200-day moving average, start to base out here, we could potentially start moving back up and testing this downtrend that we have failed at. Let's see here, 1, 2, and 3 times now. So we'll see if it can get it back above the, the 200 is at 1548. Then maybe I potentially will look to add to the position. But as of right now, 125 shares, nothing big, but looking to potentially add to the position. So my biggest winner right now is Ethereum. I bought a single coin, I think somewhere, my average is 2,489. So I want to say I bought it on this big green candle on July 1st, if I'm not mistaken, on this big push up. We do have potentially some resistance that we could come into here, and I'm going to show you where I was watching this. So this ticker is the kind of like how IBIT is for Bitcoin. It's the iShares Ethereum Trust that is through iShares. So the reason why I actually had kind of thought that we could stall out here on Ethereum is because you had this major gap that was created on January 31st. So at the beginning of the year. Most of the time, gap fills, once they get filled, they can sometimes reverse trend. Doesn't always have to happen, but a lot of the times you'll see whether it's a gap down or gap up. Once those gaps get filled, sometimes that is a area where reversals will happen. So it'll be interesting to see what happens over the next few days if we continue to move higher with Ethereum or if we start to stall and fade and roll over and maybe come back. I think a really good area that I'd be watching is this green line actually, where resistance, resistance, and finally broke above. Maybe we come back down, test, and then start to break back up to new all-time highs possibly in Ethereum. So on the futures chart that is always going though, it looks good. I'm still a believer that we're going to come up here and test this downtrend line. So from all-time high back in November 21 to December of 24, nice downtrend line. I'm still thinking, doesn't mean it's going to happen, tomorrow or a week from now. It could happen a couple months from now. It could happen next year. I don't know. But I'm thinking that eventually this will get tested, here in the next few months or so, if I had to take a good guess. So, but I don't think that it's going to happen right away. Like I said, look at the RSI down here. Super extended. I do have a notification you can see here that's set where it's going to let me know once the RSI gets to this level here from this massive run up we had in May. So the RSI is already overextended, but that doesn't mean that it can't keep going up. It could consolidate and allow the RSI to digest, and then it could keep moving even more. So we'll see what happens here. You can see right now, we're still continuing to run. So haven't sold anything. I don't think I'm planning to sell any of the Ethereum that I have. I only have one coin. Where I would be very interested is this area that I have here in these green lines. So you can see here multiple tests, and I think I talked about this in the video last week, of support, resistance, support, resistance, 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 finally breaks through. So if it comes back into this area, this like 2870-ish, 2815, I would probably be a buyer in here. And I don't know if I'll necessarily buy a whole nother coin, but I might add half a coin or something at that point, and we'll see where we're at as far as where the market's at, what it's doing. If the market does start to pull back, I do think crypto overall as a whole will pull back with it. I do think that's a buying opportunity. I don't think that this crypto run for this period is completely over, but that's just my 2 cents. As far as my Ripple position, so I did buy it anticipating this breakout. It has broke out. I only own 250 of Ripple, so nothing crazy. I think it was like $500 or $600, so it's not a massive position, but it's working out nicely so far. I think I'm up almost $200, but 31%. I mean, it's not bad for 2.5 weeks of owning it at all. So the one other thing that I wanted to point out was, and a lot of people have been talking about this on Twitter, I didn't really notice it until I started looking, but so this chart is the total crypto market cap. You can see here that we had the peak over here in 21 when crypto peaked before the 22 bear market. Nice rounding bottom here. Kind of, you could almost call it, maybe this is the cup and handle. You've had a retest down, and now we're going and attacking these all-time highs from December. Based off the look of this chart looks bullish to me. I think there's more upside. I think that, is there a potential that, we could start to pull back a little bit? Yes, but here's what I would probably say is going to happen if it does happen, is I think it would look something like this. We would kind of come back here, maybe a little bit deeper pullback, but I think ultimately this is what we're looking at here. So, there could be some shakeouts, Could be some possible pullbacks. You just need to look at the chart and figure out where your levels are that you're comfortable possibly buying. So the last thing I wanted to talk about were just a couple positions that I'm looking at possibly putting some capital behind. So Adobe has been pretty beaten up since, let's see here, January of 24. So almost a year, over a year and a half. It's just been in this downtrend. Um, you can see here I've kind of created this parallel channel here, and I like it. I started at the COVID low. It's from the September, or I guess Adobe bottomed a little bit before the market, but October of 2022, so right around the bear market low. If it came down and got down to maybe like this 290, I probably would put some limits at 300 just because it's a psychological number. I probably would buy some shares. I think that the chart, it's worth taking a risk on. Obviously, you can see it hasn't really gone anywhere, but I think if it came down to this level, a lot of the times, historically, big levels like that have a trend line tend to, potentially mark bottoms. So I'd be comfortable putting some risk around in that area and continue to add to the position. You can see here I have some other names that I am kind of keep an eye on. This is where I'm at right now. These are some option plays that I'm kind of looking at. But overall, right now, we're going to leave the portfolio where it's at. We're going to kind of let it do its thing. And we'll see probably over the weekend. I'll probably just do another update to see how we finished out the week. And we'll go from there.